What's going on, MSFers? Duelim here, and today we have the full breakdown of the Intel store. So the Intel store is finally in game, but before we do a full breakdown on that, and I'll let you guys know what I am buying, and I will give you the breakdown on what the numbers are based on if you want to buy training materials, characters, or gear tier 20. I will let you guys know. But before that, again, I want to make sure you guys know that Old Man Logan is officially in the Elite store. That's right, his diamonds are finally there, which is absolutely amazing. We originally had a data mine that said he was going to the Intel store. I will say on myself, I pushed very hard for that to not happen because no, there's no way we're gating Old Man Logan more by putting him in the Intel store where he's going to be highly contested for other goodies. So I'm absolutely going to be taking him up to 3 diamond. I know the first one is 1,800. I think the second one is 4,500, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Let me know down in the comment section if you do know. But I do know the third one is 9,000 diamond credits, so make sure you have enough for that. Shadow King is also in the Elite store now for his red stars in preparation for that diamond orb that is coming, which is absolutely awesome. And we have a new promo code for you here that is green and purple, and I typed it in all caps here. This is my first try. I am doing this live, and you get 2 million gold and 20,000 Intel, which I am very grateful for. I'll take the gold, I'll take the Intel. That's pretty awesome. So redeem new gift, and we'll head back in game now. And you could see it goes straight to your inbox, which is pretty awesome. There it is, 2 million gold and 20,000 Intel. This is from the daily free claims on the website. Obviously the 5 Juggernaut, and then the Allied Supply 7 Orb Fragment. So let's get into the Intel store breakdown. So right now we're going to look at prices because it does vary, at least for the training materials. So I have seen the 20 stack of training materials, and I've also seen the 60 stack. It is a 1-to-1 ratio on price. So the 20 stack is 7,200. The 60 stack is 21,600. So it's the exact same. We've got T4 ability materials here. I've also seen a 50 stack that I think was at 50,000 if I'm not mistaken, or 55,000. I don't know, honestly. It's a terrible price. I have plenty of those, so I don't see anybody really buying those. We have the Shadow King passive awaken ability that is at 25,000. Character shards that are at 12,500, and then gear tier 20 pieces at 5 pieces per stack at 40,000. So there are a lot of ways that we are getting Intel right now. So right now we have in the actual raid nodes, and each individual raid node is going to give you Intel. And it's going to be 300 for each of the Chaos, Storm, Omega difficulty 5 nodes. I'm not sure for different difficulties. Please let me know if it's different because your math will be slightly different. So for Chaos, we've got 300 per node there. And then for Spotlight, it is a little different. So for Spotlight, let's see if I can find a node that's actually not done here. I guess it would help if I went to a strike team that wasn't 100%, but you know. That's fine. So we've got, it is 160 for a regular node, and then a boss node is at 290, which is a little bit interesting. So I'm going to have to average that out a little bit. And I know I am not a fan of this because this causes infighting, because you're going to be fighting over how many nodes everybody gets, which I'm not a big fan of. Also for Chaos raids, what happens is the daily payout is varied based on what percentage you get. So I'm going to do a rough estimate between getting 70% daily and getting 100% daily. You can see the tier 3 for 70% is at 2,700. Tier 4 is at 3,600 a day. And then for Spotlight raids, my math is going to be you are 100%ing this every day. You see the difference between 70% and 100% is only 200 Intel, which is negligible. So I don't think it really matters based on the math. And then let's see what else we got. So we've got that. And then we also have the Blitz Milestones, which is going to be very good, actually. It's not Blitz wins, it's Blitz Milestones. So it's from the actual rewards here. So you're getting 3,000 per Blitz milestone here. So I did that times 3, so roughly about 9,000 intel a week coming from there. And then we also have intel coming from the command center. So if we go over here, we go to Harbinger week 1. We have the objectives here are pretty simple: battle and raid, gather intel, use Thunderbolt team, all this kind of stuff that hopefully we're going to be able to do. Obviously, probably not the battle and raid with Victoria Hand. Also, the use Thunderbolt, we're probably not going to be able to do that either. So that's going to be a good amount of points that we're not going to be getting from this. So you got 10 points, 20 points from the Victoria Hand thing, and then we're definitely not going to do the Thunderbolt team in raids 15 times. So that's 50 points there as well. So there's a good amount of milestones here as well, which total to 100,000, but I'm going to lower that by probably about 20,000 because I think these last 4, maybe 6 milestones are not achievable unless you're purchasing Victoria Hand. Also, we have objectives here for gathering intel, and it goes all the way up to 300,000, which kind of gives me a gauge on how much we're probably going to be earning. Now, I don't know if these are considered whalestone objectives or not, but I feel like we should be getting roughly that amount based on the math that I have. So we should be right around that area, which is great. So in total, we should be getting roughly about 337,000 intel this week, and that does include the daily rewards that we've been getting as well. So we are getting the daily rewards there. So we do have that total there. So what that means is we should be getting 337,000 intel, which means we are going to be able to spend that wisely, right? So there's 3 different ways you can spend it. And we talked about that. So there's going to be currently for character shards, every week you could do 28 purchases for character shards, which means you're going to be getting about 140 shards for a single character, which is not bad in a week, but that means that is only character shards. And the good news is, the bad news is actually, is you're going to be only getting 21 store resets a week. So you're going to have 7 excess store resets that you cannot buy the same character shards. So you're going to be buying somebody else. Personally, I do not recommend this. I do not think character shards are worth it unless you want to buy like 1 stack of Hitmonkey to get you over the hump to get to the unlock, then maybe. But other than that, I don't think character shards are worth it. Now, if you want to do training materials, I regulated this at the 21,600 price. You can only buy 16 of these a week, which is an absolute slap in the face because this is super, super expensive and not good at all when it comes to pricing. I would absolutely recommend continue buying things from the Arena store for the time being because this price is egregious and it is not good at all. You are going to be blowing all of your intel on this if you are buying training materials, which is kind of what I figured, but hopefully once the Legacy store comes on May 22nd, that will alleviate some of the pressure of training materials in the Intel store, but that is yet to be seen. Now, if you are going to be buying Gear Tier 20, you can get 8.75 purchases of Gear Tier 20. So roughly about 8 purchases of Gear 20. Now, the good news is there's 21 store resets, so you're only going to need to do 1 purchase a day, technically, right? And what that means is you could be very picky with your gear. So you could definitely try to focus only the gear that you need currently. So right now I'm working on skill and I'm working on mystic, right? So I want to make sure I'm getting these Crimson Sigil pieces to make sure I am getting that progress for the mystic pieces because I'm going to be taking Blade to the City Hero section. Now, what we don't know currently, and I'm curious to see if the extra calendar that we're getting is what's bolstering the what we're not getting currently from War, Arena, and Cosmic Crucible. So there's still 3 more avenues of intel that we're going to be getting. And I'm curious to see the prices and the payouts on that daily, weekly, and then 3 times a week when it comes to War. Because Arena currently only has these extra little orb fragments here for the event that's going on right now. Other than that, it does not have anything else going on when it comes to the Intel store and the Intel credits. And what we were told by the developers is it's going to happen as a transition period sometime before May 22nd, which is when all of these stores, the Blitz store, Raid store, all of these things are going to get converted into the Legacy shop. Now, the stores that will not be converted are going to be the Elite store, the ISO store, Ultimus, and Battle World store. So those currencies are staying. Do not worry about, hey, you got to spend all your diamonds, anything like that. You do not have to worry about that. But I'm very curious to see what the payouts are going to be, and if we're going to be getting a higher weekly income than roughly about 320,000, or if that's what we should expect on a weekly basis. Again, we have this weekly milestone here that says we can collect up to 300,000 for this weekly milestone. Now, I know this is sandwiched between some whale stones because you have to buy Victoria Hand. So I don't know how achievable this is, or if this is only going to be achievable for week 1 because they want to show how generous they're being and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to this. And there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to how much intel we're going to be getting and how much intel we're going to be able to use as well, because there's also objectives for using 300,000 intel every single week. Now, the milestone points here do taper down, so it's 25 points for spending 100,000 intel, and then it's only 10 and 10 for spending 200 and 300,000 intel. So I'm wondering if you're just going to be able to get here a little bit faster than others. So maybe you unlock Quasar, I don't know, a week early compared to others. But I don't know, because there's no way to purchase this currency. There is zero way to purchase this currency. So everybody is going to be stuck at the same level no matter what. And this is also going to make it so you do not want to hoard, because you're going to want to make sure you are spending all of your intel every single week to make sure you are maximizing these rewards so you get Quasar as soon as possible. You're also going to want to make sure you are spending at least 300 campaign energy every day, and you are spending 1 million gold every single day. This is daily. You need to spend 1 million gold every single day. It is only 1 point, but I think it is going to add up in the grand scheme of things, especially because this is a 28-day event, 27-day event here. So that's going to be 27 points. So that's the difference between, almost 3 milestones, because it's 10 points for every milestone. So I think it's going to be very, very important to get as far as you can. Also, there's even more intel on the bottom here that I did not calculate into my weekly gross for my calculations. So this is all going to be bonus stuff, because I don't know when we're going to be getting this or how achievable it is. So make sure you are not hoarding your intel currency, and make sure you are spending it on gear tier 20s. That is my best advice, is spend it on gear tier 20s. Now, what happens if you already have Professor X? That's a great question. If you already have Professor X, or once you do get Professor X, my recommendation would be continuing to buy the gear tier 20s to take all of the usable roster that you have, which is roughly about 70 to 80 characters, to gear tier 20. That is going to take a lot longer than normal, because when you're doing the Professor X saga, it's not like a Dark Dimension where you're getting a bunch of gear on the nodes and from the completion rewards. Because remember the completion rewards, we had you get like a bunch of gear from Dark Dimension 8. Even on the nodes, you were getting a bunch of gear tier 19 pieces or purple ISO, whatever it was. We don't have that now with the Professor X saga. All you get at the end of the Professor X saga is going to be mutant pieces, and enough of them to take up Xavier. So my recommendation is continue buying gear tier 20 and continue working on your characters, because gear tier 20, working on your gear tier 20 on your characters, because that is the most impactful thing, especially with overpowered. Because remember, getting extra stars does not affect overpowered at all. Now, If you feel like you do not have anything useful in the realm of gear tier 20 here, you could definitely use some of your currency on characters. What I would recommend is buying characters that are going to be useful in multiple lanes. And what I mean is multiple different game modes. So raid, war, crucible, arena, whatever it is, right? I know the Vigilante team has proven that they've been pretty good in war. So if you are big in war and obviously in raids, you might want to buy them. Starjammers are only good in Crucible. So I'm a diehard Crucible fan, but I would not recommend buying Havoc or Howard. Liberty is about to be farmable, so I feel like that is a waste. I would not buy Liberty at all because they just went into bumps, so they should be farmable within the next 3 weeks to a month, so do not waste it on them. And as characters come, when Thunderbolts get put in here, I would say Thunderbolts might be a good idea because you know they're going to be used for the Harbinger event when it comes to getting Quasar Red Stars. And we do have the Harbinger tag in game currently, and Vigilante is part of that. But the thing is, I think Vigilante will be fully free to play available. We have Silver Sable in the Battle Pass right now. The only thing we need is Hitmonkey. So by the time that event comes around, I do believe we are going to have the full team fleshed out. And I don't know about Gear Tier 20, obviously, but I think we'll have the full team fleshed out when it comes to stars. So I don't think those are good purchases either. I do think Thunderbolts are because they are going to be great in raids. They're pretty good in Crucible as well, and they're pretty decent in war. So nothing wrong with that at all. So that is my recommendations for the Intel store. As it changes and as the economy changes and we actually see how much we're getting on a weekly and monthly basis, I will continue to update a video like this. If you guys enjoyed this one, let me know down in the comment section below. Till next time, this has been Duelim. Later, MSFers.